Some details of the next set of Armies of Renown and expansions today. It looks like the beneficiaries are the Admech, Bellacor, the Chaos Space Marine Traitor Legions, and the Order of Our Martyred Lady. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, the strategy-focused 40k channel, where today we're talking about the next set of supplement expansions that Games Workshop is bringing forward in their Warzone Charadon series, this second one called the Book of Fire. These books have certainly had some mixed reception. People aren't enormously happy that they're already releasing supplemental expansion books before the vast majority of armies in 9th edition have their codexes, and the actual rules content for any one army does seem just a little bit weak. Say if you wanted the Skitarii content from the last one, you'd be paying for a book that costs a similar amount to the codex, but you'd only have a few pages of rules that are relevant to your army. The rest is all kind of filler unless you happen to collect those factions as well. In any case, rules-wise, it's still interesting to see what's coming. So let's take a look at what Games Workshop has hinted at and what sort of things we might expect further rules previews later in the week. So first up, like the last one, I'm sure it'll have plenty of campaign missions, extra content from Crusade, relics and things like that, which are all certainly fun and can give you extra value if you're into that sort of system, though I'll be honest, the bit that I'm far more interested in personally is the match play rules, as these are official updates to Warhammer 40k. Though orcs were mentioned in the flavor text, it doesn't seem that any orcs are appearing in this book at least. Maybe they might be on the cards for another expansion of these down the line, or they might just not have been fully clarified by Games Workshop yet. For all we know, there could be some content for them in the book. In any case, what we do know about is yet more content for the Admech. Apparently there's going to be something called a Skitarii veteran cohort, which is going to be an army of renown, and it's going to revolve around Rangers and Vanguard. The trend for these armies of renown is that you log out of lots of other options within the codex to make a really specialist army just focusing around a few units, but those few units do get some pretty powerful buffs to trade off for those loss of options. I will say that first of all, I think it's pretty unpleasant to have Admech content scattered between 3 different books now. There are codex that have just come out, but technically if you want the entire rules for the Adeptus Mechanicus, you both have to buy the Admech codex, and then both Warzone Charadon I and Warzone Charadon II. The Book of Rust, the first in the series, gave us the expansion for the Metallica Forge world, and also the Army of Renown for the Cybernetica cohort with those Castellans and Cataphrons. And now this one just gives us one further Army of Renown that if you want the official rules for, you're going to have to buy this book, which I can't see being enormously popular with Admech players. Parking the annoying Day 1 DLC thing though, it could certainly be an interesting development for the game. Skitarii, Rangers and Vanguard are some of the strongest units in all of 40k right now. Both of them are really strong for their points, and they've been putting in some very solid performance in tournaments, so there's every chance that this Army of Renown could potentially be quite strong. Obviously we'll have to see exactly what sort of buffs it gives them. With the last one, that Cybernetica cohort, you had to trade off actually getting a Forge World Dogma, and that's really quite relevant with some of the powerful buffs that they can give you in the new codex, so we'll just have to wait and see whether it's actually worth it. They do mention in the flavor text that this is supposed to be a formation to represent the Fabricator General of Metallica, a certain tech priest called Heptus Cleng, so there is at least a small possibility that it could be locked to the Metallica Forge world alone, though I think it might not be likely to, seeing as we already had the Army of Renown from the previous book, and that wasn't locked to only Metallica. Interestingly, and perhaps the most unexpected thing out of this teaser, is that there's going to be some content for Chaos Space Marines. We already knew a bit about the Bellacor stuff, but apparently there's going to be some quite significant content for the Traitor Legions, saying at least some new rules for the 7 Traitor Legions and other Renegade chapters. They've not been too specific about this, whether or not this is going to be an overhaul of the rules found in Faith and Fury, where every single Traitor Legion got its own set of Warlord Traits, relics and stratagems, and was genuinely quite a big power boost to the Chaos Space Marine army, or whether this is going to be a bit more subtle, just a little bit more extra content for those legions. Or for all we know, I suppose it could just be narrative stuff, though I don't think it will be quite as likely just to be this, if they are featuring it so prominently. I'm sure we'll have more details soon, but to be honest, anything that could give the Chaos Space Marines a boost in 9th edition is greatly appreciated. Though I'm sure the thoughts on the mind of Chaos Marine players is that really they'd just like to see their new codex with the 2 wound Space Marines and 3 wound Terminators, and not feeling like they're still playing with one arm tied behind their back, while Games Workshop keeps on releasing new additional supplemental content like this that isn't maybe strictly as relevant as new codexes. Next up, the Order of Our Martyred Lady is getting a power boost. They're going to be getting a mini supplement within the codex, and I'm sure it will be something very similar to the House Raven or the Forgewell Metallica content in the previous book, a new set of Warlord Traits, relics and stratagems. I'm going to guess similar to House Raven and Metallica, there'll be 3 new Warlord traits, 3 relics, and then around 8 stratagems. And really this could be make or break as to whether or not people see wide play of the Order of Our Martyred Lady within the Sisters Codex. Yesterday I made a full video about the Sisters of Battle orders, so feel free to check that out if you haven't already. But despite being one of the most iconic orders out there, the Order of Our Martyred Lady isn't enormously strong right now. They'll get you a few more miracle dice, they can be quite useful for biggish blocks of infantry, but I don't think they're going to be one of the more competitive played armies right now. If they do come out with a full mini supplement for them, some of those Warlord traits and stratagems might just be make or break. Certainly the ones for Metallica are a massive draw to play in that Forge world, and there's every possibility that the new stratagems will be for the Order of Our Martyred Lady. Finally, last but by no means least, we know that the full new datasheet for Bellacor is coming in this book. Again, almost every detail has been leaked to the internet already. Games Workshop did some pretty extensive previews, we know his points from the new chapter approved, and his full stat line's already been unveiled via the content from his packaging. He's 360 points, has 16 wounds at toughness 7 with a 4+ invul, and is really hard to kill at range with -1 to hit and -1 to wound. His Sword of Shadows is a massive D3+3 damage, and most importantly it ignores invuls, so he's pretty much an ultimate character killer. There are very few that are going to stand against him in single combat and live for more than 1 turn. It looks like he's going to be a significant power boost to Chaos Demons, and I have a suspicion that he's going to be a supreme commander for the faction, so you'll be able to include him very easily in Chaos armies. Furthermore, other than that, we know that he has his own Army of Renown, called a Legion of Night, and it's somehow going to allow you to field both demons and mortal warriors within the same army. Though like all armies of renown, I'm sure such flexibility is going to come off with some pretty big trade-offs, maybe most likely having to give up Legion traits or certain advantages for the Chaos Demons. We don't really know too much about it yet, though I think it's pretty likely that Bellacor will have to be present for you to field it. They've said in this preview that it's going to have some of its own new stratagems, and we know that it's going to have its own Noctic Psychic discipline, which is going to be a unique one that Bellacor can access, and maybe other Psychers within the army. I think that this one could definitely be one to watch. Other than Death Guard, the Chaos Superfaction armies don't seem to be seeing all that much success these days, so if they could have a powerful new formation to tide them over until they get their 9th codexes, I'm sure that would go down well for Demon and Chaos players. So anyway, some interesting rules coming forward here. Games Workshop said that they're going to be previewing some of these over the week, and I'll try and cover those when I have chance on the channel. Let me know what you think of the previews, and whether or not this is the best way to deliver them in these slightly expensive supplement books. As always, I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments. Finally, if you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, and if you have been enjoying a lot of the content on the channel recently, I would just like to mention that the channel has a Patreon page, which you can find down in the video description. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain new videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry to the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description. In any case, an enormous thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.